This review is brought to you in part by Ryder's Hobby Shops, where the fun begins. Stop in to one of Ryder's 2 convenient Michigan locations where you'll find a full range of the latest hobby products, supplies, parts, tools, and paint. You'll find aisles and aisles of scale model kits, RC models, model rockets, Warhammer gaming, and railroading products. Stop in at Ryder's today and tell them Doug sent you. This review covers the 58 Chevy Ala-Impala. It's a 125 scale kit from AMT, number 1301. Now, the 58 Chevys were very popular in their day, and they were often used for racing in the early to mid-60s. Originally released as a promo car in 1958, it did not have opening doors or a hood that opened, and also the chassis had the suspension details molded in. So this 2022 reissued kit is really a different kit, but it still has all the mid-60s customizing, so it can be built stock, custom, or drag. Now, I wanted to build my version close to the drag version that's on the box art, so there's just a couple of additions. I added a scoop and a custom grill. There's 160 parts in this kit, molded in white, chrome, clear, and red, and included there's lots of unused parts at the end. It's not a difficult build, but because of some of the fragile parts and some of the bigger decals, I'd say it's for an intermediate builder. When it's done, the model will measure about 8 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 2 1/4 inches high. Here are the decals for the kit. As you can see, the register is good, the colors are great. There's some pretty long stripes there that will need a little setting solution. But there also included are a lot of the great nostalgic speed decals that were prominent during the day. Here are the contents of the kit. There's a nice chrome tree with nice chrome on it. Some really nice looking wheels and tires. We'll talk about that later. But there's, as you can see, she's just packed with parts, and a lot of them will be extras. So you can build this model any way you want. Now gather up the parts for your choice of engines. As I mentioned, I'm building the drag version. You see the Hedman headers there. They've been painted with high intensity white. It's got some chrome fin valve covers, and of course it's Chevy orange. The transmission is basically aluminum, just like the intake. And then there's even some a crankshaft that goes in the center, and the tri-carbs there are a gold tone. And so you see here the assembled engine. It goes together very easily, no special attention needed. And the parts look pretty nice all together as a pretty detailed engine for the time period it was designed. This, of course, left side and the right side shows the starter and the other accessories, which are, a medium gloss black. And so, along with the obligatory ejector pin marks, you're going to find some script that's molded into the underside of the chassis plate there. And you can just scrape that away and sand it smooth. But remember to pay attention to those things if you're going to build contest models. And now here are the tires that come with the kit. But I won't be using them because they don't actually work for the box art version unless you paint over the tires. This is the one side, and here are the Gold Streak opposite sides. They're really nice tires, but these will be going right into the stash, and I'll be using some kind of generic black walls, just like on the box art. And here are the wheels. So they assemble very simply. They were painted gold on the outside, and then on the inside a black on the and then glued together right through the tires there. And you can sand off that tread area and give them a little scuffing for more realism. Here are the parts for the rear suspension. You see the long drive shaft there, and then the 2 axle halves, with the rear end. They get glued together, of course. The shocks were painted yellow, just a color choice. You can do them any way you like. Also, stage the front suspension pieces. Now all the pieces are basically painted a gloss black, so or to a semi-gloss black. You can choose either one there, and then assembled. They go together very simply, and they fit pretty well. So make sure though that you scrape off any paint for the contact areas that you want to glue together, and the same goes for chrome pieces. You have to remove the chrome plating first. Now you can go ahead and glue the engine to its mounts, and don't forget to place the drive shaft into the transmission opening there before you glue that completely down, and make sure that it's setting properly in the engine cradle. I liked the look of the chrome custom steering wheel, so I painted the rim black, and then I trimmed away the stock steering column as well as the column shifter, and glued the steering wheel to the end of the stock column to use with the stock dashboard. Now gather the parts up for the interior, and I used some gloss black on the dashboard and semi-gloss on the seats and door panels with some flat black inserts on the seats and the carpeting. Here is the completed interior, and it goes together very well. Everything fits where it should. And the dash had some pretty good molded detail, but I printed out the instrument cluster from a photo and used some white glue to hold it in place to give it so that it would stand out a little better for more realism. You see here some Sharpie used to highlight the parting lines that are on the quarter panels and of course down the fenders, etc. So you'll have to clean those up, as well as removing the braces, the shipping braces that come in the doorway, etc. That are marked with the oblique lines. Now to duplicate the drag version, you'll have to remove the section of the rear wheel openings, and there's an indented line inside there, and you'll need to trim the body to that line. You can use just about any hobby knife, the backside, to score that, and then kind of chip away at it with some heavy sprue cutters or something of that nature, and then use some sand sticks or files to smooth that out. And so matching the interior, I painted the headliner there on the underside of the roof flat black, and you'll notice there's also some ejector pin marks there. And then after that dried, I glued the windows in with some clear glue and put those into. Now we'll work on the opening doors, and you'll see that it's been painted here, the exterior of course, with the body color. The stripe there in the middle has a black insert and some chrome trim, and the vent windows are painted chrome. Now on the inside you need to paint that your interior colors with a little bit of silver highlight, and that goes on the inset there, as well as of course the handles. And use some clear glue or white glue to put the small vent windows into place. I painted the exterior body with a one-shot brand 104L bright red to match the box art on the model kit. Next we're going to put the doors into place in their openings, and where the hinges are there just in front of that, you're going to want to scratch a little paint off there if you painted the fender wells, and then glue the hinge cover into position. That's a support that goes over the hinges and traps them there so that the doors can open and close. After the doors are set and dried, the interior can be glued to the body, and you just look for your locating points and use some good strong glue, and then add the completed chassis. Now the radiator top gets added to the core support, and then also the heater, blower, battery, and horns can be added for the stock car, but since I'm doing a drag car version, there's no heater, blower, or horns, and the battery would be moved to the trunk of the car for weight transfer. Now we can install the headlight buckets there, and then once those are glued into the body, you can use a little clear or white glue to put the headlight lenses into place. And I added the grill surround parts there to the front of the fenders, and also the custom grill, instead of having it just exposed like the box art, because it's so light, it wouldn't make much difference to a drag car anyway. But the front bumper is left off to save some weight. I added a hood scoop to the hood before that got painted body color, and in the past hood scoops were used as functional kind of ram air hood scoops. And you see here that the opening was made by just using the back side of a hobby knife and scribing the plastic out until you cut through, basically. And then you can just clean it up with sand sticks or diamond files. Just be careful. And then as you see, it's a pretty nice looking addition and makes this car look really like an authentic drag car. Now we're turning it around, and we're going to add the tail light bezels and lenses to the back end. And the center lights on a stock car are you know, white. They're backup lights, but drag cars don't back up. So I replaced it with 6 red tail lights for a really super slick look. At this point, your model should be complete. Just add your decals, the ones that you choose, and put them into place using plenty of warm water. As I mentioned earlier, there's a massive amount of parts left over in this kit. So put those in your stash for another day and customizing job. Well, there you have it. These cars that were fitted with those big V8s like the 409 were just tearing up the drag strips back in the mid-60s. And this model looks every bit the part. Even with the addition of the hood scoop, which of course probably only your upscale, you know, car racers could afford, it looks like it was just off the track or getting ready to go at the staging lights. So if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you liked this step-by-step premium model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking on the icon in the lower right of any of our reviews. You can find us on Facebook or our website, rideonreplicas.com. Thanks.